Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name's Newt. It was mine and my husband's 7-year anniversary, so I decided for an anniversary present I was going to make him a little spider habitat for a little jumping spider. So right now I'm just starting off. This was supposed to be the little acorn home for the little jumper. So I just got this walnut and I washed it, of course, and then I was just dremeling a hole into it. Was there a better way to dremel this hole into it? Probably, but this was just the way that I did it. It was very uneven and kind of lopsided, so I just tried to even it out as best as I could, but it was not symmetrical whatsoever. And this is what his little home was going to look like, and then I needed to glue it together, and of course I got the wrong size glue sticks for this glue gun, so I decided to just jump right into making the trunk. I wanted to make this little clay tree trunk that would be the main area that the spider would kind of hang out on and around inside of the little bin. This is actually the bottom of the spider habitat, so I was just measuring it to make sure that the stump was going to fit, and then this is what the whole habitat looks like. And then I'm just rolling out some more pieces of clay to make the roots off of the tree to make it look a little more realistic. Now, I've never made a tree trunk before, so this was literally like a first. So I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I just kind of had a basic idea of what I wanted to do for the tree trunk and just kind of went from there. Also, the entire time I was doing this, for some reason I just had this image in my head of when Merry and Pippin in Lord of the Rings are at Treebeard's home area, and they kind of get engulfed by the tree roots when they're just having a good time. And this doesn't look anything like those tree roots, obviously, but for some reason that image was just stuck in my head the entire time I was making this. I didn't look up any type of reference photos or anything for this. I literally just went for it. So here I'm just trying to measure it out, again, just seeing what I need to take off so that it'll fit perfectly. By this point, it's definitely looking like a burned rotisserie chicken, but it gets better, I swear. So I decided that the tree definitely needed to go up more, the trunk part. So I made this little cylinder and I just placed it on top of the trunk just to give it a little more height and make it look less like a bulgy rotisserie chicken pillow thing. And as you can see, it's already looking a little tiny bit more like a trunk, so this was definitely a good idea. I'm just kind of evening out all the seams with my fingers. And just pinching the top of the roots to make them look more root-like. And see, it already looks more like a trunk than it did before. And then this was just kind of like extra. I was like, well, you know, it does look like a tree trunk, but if a tree had been chopped down, then the middle of it would be more of a light color and you'd be able to see the rings on it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll make that little ring-ish area out of this like tan colored clay. So I cut out a circle that was roughly the same size as the inside of the tree trunk and then placed it on top, and I was like, oh, this is already looking good. So I patted it down all around and it still wasn't 100%, but it looked pretty good. And then I was like, okay, I need to add the rings. So please enjoy this sped up version of me adding the rings around the tree. They are not perfect by any means, but neither are the rings around actual trees, if we're being honest. And then kind of last minute, I decided to add this piece of clay around the border. I don't know what it was, it just needed that little bit of oomph, like that little extra something at the top of the trunk. And now I'm just trying to make it look like bark. I'm sure there was an easier way to accomplish this, but I basically just slashed and stabbed and poked and prodded like every inch of this tree trunk. And you have to just trust the process on this one, because this was not looking very good at first. Like right now it's like, oh, like what are you doing? But as I slashed and stabbed it more, it started to look more like a trunk. And I don't know, just like at some point, I was like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is not looking good. I'm going to have to like smooth it all out and start over and try to find something else that's gonna work. But I mean, look, it's already starting to look like a trunk. I don't know at what point it really started to look like a trunk, but it did. And it really started to look like bark, and it all came together so nicely. So now I'm just placing it inside for one final time just to make sure it is absolutely perfect, and it was. I was so proud of this thing when I was done with it. And here it is, all glazed with Mod Podge, which is safe for spiders. It's all dry, and it fits so perfectly inside the base. Oh my gosh, I love it. And then this is the walnut house and the acorn hats that I'm going to glue these magnets onto. So I did get some glue that actually fit into the hot glue gun, but I didn't turn it on. So here it is turning it on, and now it finally works. So I just glued around the inside edge of the walnut and glued it together. This was a lot messier than it needed to be. There was like strings of hot glue like all over the place, and this stuff like dries so quick. I seem to remember when I was younger, hot glue like hurt when you touched it, but this stuff like doesn't really hurt. So I don't know if I just have like a really cheap gun or what, but it didn't do the grandest job gluing. And then I added these magnets. Now you'll see at the end of this video, I didn't actually end up going with this size magnet. I had to go up a size. So if you're making your own spider habitat, definitely use a little bit larger than you think you would need magnets, because they will help your pieces stay in place. It's just more secure. So just ignore me using these magnets, because you'll see at the end I had to upgrade to a larger size just for stability's sake. But this is kind of what it's looking like so far. And then I just added some of this repti bark that I had for my hermit crabs. I just added this into the bottom, and I ended up taking this out, which you'll see at the end of the video again. And I substituted moss at the bottom instead of this repti bark. And then I was going to use this pipe cleaner as a type of ladder situation for the little spider to climb up into the walnut. And then it was time to get the little spider in there. So to the left, you'll see this is a bigger spider habitat, which he'll be moving into once he's fully grown. And there he is down there, just kind of crawling around. And he actually went in super quick. I was surprised. So there he is down there, the little jumper, or I assume this is a jumping spider. I really hope it is. We actually found him. He was on our porch. There was a bunch of babies, like different jumping spider babies on the porch, and we just happened to find this one. So I asked Mr. Noon, I was like, do you want him, or I'll buy you like a fancy jumping spider? He was like, no, I'll take this one. It doesn't even have a name yet. And this is what the home looked like after I did some updates. You can see the moss down at the bottom, and then I also cut that pipe cleaner so it was a little shorter, and it was so adorable. Very, very cute. So that comes to the conclusion of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video with Mushi. Thanks, see you guys later, bye!